Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another TFL Mega Mashup, and I'm here in Kentucky where Honda flew me down here to drive, well, the brand new 2016 Pilot, but we're going to mash it up with competitive cars. And to my left is the brand new Ford Explorer, the brand new Toyota Highlander, the Nissan Pathfinder, it's a long way, the Chevy Traverse. Here we have another Explorer, and get this, they even provided us with the 2015 Pilot, but the car that we really want to drive is this one, the brand new 2016 Pilot. And coming up next on the Fast Lane car, we're going to take all of these for a ride and give you a quick review, and that is going to take a lot of work, but that is coming up next. I'm in the Traverse, and this is just a real seat of the pants comparison because there are about 20 other journalists here, so we don't want to hog the cars. But Honda was kind enough to give us this cheat sheet with all the cars. So this particular Traverse comes in at $48,500. It has a towing capacity of 5,200, which is really good for this class. And it has a combined MPG of 19. And the 3.6 liter V6 puts out 288 horsepower. So let's see what that means when we put it in drive. So a lot of this isn't about my driving impression, it's really about the usability of this car. I don't think that the fastest or the best road handling is a criteria that most people use when they compare three-row crossovers. I think the thing that most people are looking for is how well does it suit my lifestyle. It's very stylish inside. I do like this color pattern. I do love the French stitching on the IP here. The steering wheel is nice and soft. It feels expensive. It's not exactly too expensive, but it feels expensive, and that's what you want in this class of vehicle. You also kind of want ease of use, ease of ingress, and you want a vehicle that says, I'm successful. And I think style-wise, the Traverse does all that. Having said that, it's starting to feel just a little bit dated to me. And I say that because, well, for instance, it's one of the few that still has a key. And let's face it, push buttons are all the rage now. And so if you want to be playing with the cool kids on the block, you got to have the cool kid toys, and a push button is one of them. Let's give it a little bit of beans. 288 horsepower. It's not the fastest car in the world. There's a lot of engine noise and not necessarily a lot of go or get up and go. And this engine, actually, this 3.6 liter is the same engine that's available in the Colorado and the Canyon Twins. It's an engine that's across the line in a lot of GM products, so it's kind of a workhorse of an engine. It does really well, but I'd like to feel just a little bit more power. And in terms of riding dynamics, it's well dampened. I can feel what the road is doing. Not that that's a lot of the kind of stuff that somebody driving this thing's going to look for, but I can certainly feel the road ahead of me, and I can certainly feel like I've got a lot of good control. Now we've got all these three-row vehicles, but there's different configuration. This one happens to have the captain seat in the back. But what I'll do for you is I'll sit behind myself where I drive and see how much legroom I have. And I can tell you right now, it's pretty tight back here. The sunroof is nice, but in terms of overall space, not great for a guy who's 6'2". But let me do this. Let me try to get in the back and see how easy it is and see how comfortably I fit back there. Hold on. You know what? There's almost more room back here than there is in the second row. Usually this back row is the penalty box or the little kids corner, but for a 6'2" guy, I fit relatively comfortably back here, even have enough headroom, and that is surprising. Let's do a does Roman fit and test the back, the way back of the vehicle, and see how much room there is for groceries. So the question is, will I fit in here, and can we close this without it decapitating me? Hit the button, Ian. Hit the button, dude. I feel this is not going to work. to the wise, make sure your photographer knows how to open the rear tailgate before you cram yourself in there. So I do fit, but barely. Meet the 2015 Toyota Highlander. This is a crowd favorite, one of my favorites. Also recently spruced up. The Toyota has that legendary Toyota reliability. Plus, like the Pathfinder, you can also get it in the hybrid, but this is not the hybrid. So let's take it for a ride and see how it compares to the others. It has 3.5 liter dual overhead V6 that puts out 270 horsepower. It also can tow 5,000 pounds, which is about the class average. And get this, it gets 20 mpg combined. But let's see how it drives. Everything in here feels modern, feels new. From the passenger and driver side, it's a little bit tighter back here. It feels just a little bit sportier. It feels like I'm kind of cocooned in my own little world, as opposed to being in this big 3-row crossover. Everything I touch, except maybe this, feels relatively soft, and even this is soft-ish. The steering wheel is nice and thick, covered in leather. All right, here we go. I'm gonna floor it. I'm gonna give it the beans. Oh my! Compared to the Traverse, much more oomph. Just feels more spirited. Feels like it wants to dance. Now I know that's not what people are going to do with these vehicles. They're going to use them as family haulers. But if you're driving the thing, you do want to have a sense of safety, a sense of comfort, and a sense of fun. And okay, no one's going to say that a Toyota Highlander is particularly a car that's going to put a huge smile on your face. But you know, if I had to shuffle the kids around from after-school marching band to soccer games, I would not mind spending my hours in this vehicle. All right, let's see the back seat room here. Oh yeah, much more room than the Traverse. And unlike some other vehicles, you have an entire roof that is a giant panoramic sunroof. So you don't have a space in between here that is regular roof. It's just a big panoramic sunroof. Very comfortable, very open, very spacious. My head hits a little bit, but let's see how hard it is to get in the back. Once again, doing it the first time. Slides forward. Here we go. Into the back I go. Oh, there's no way. This is the penalty box for sure. So much more room for the first 2 rows, and very little, if any, room for the last row. I think anybody under the age or over the age of 5 is not going to be happy back here. I get a bad feeling about this, guys. I think if I don't fit in the 3rd row, we'll try it. I'll give it a shot. All right, and push the button. If I decapitate myself, call my wife. So, one large middle-aged man does fit, but barely. I'm in the brand new 2015 Ford Explorer, and this is the most expensive vehicle here at $49,440. It has a 3.5 liter V6 that puts out 290 horsepower, but you could get this with the EcoBoost that would have, as Ford likes to say, best in class. I think it's 350 plus horsepower. But this guy can only tow 2,000, which out of all these vehicles is the least. It also has some of the lower MPG at a 19 combined. But let's take it for a ride and see how this compares. So if you like the sense of power and command driving position you get driving a big vehicle, you certainly get it in the Ford Explorer. It's also, even though they're refreshing it for 2016, it's also actually very stylish. You know, Ford has come a long way from kind of building basic middle-class family haulers to taking everything up a notch or two in the way that they design stuff. Of course, you have a sink here, and I say that with a little bit of dread because I've spent a lot of time with this. Our long-term test vehicle is a Raptor, and sink is honestly a pain in the ass. Even after you learn it, it's not the most friendly or the most intuitive. That's good. That's not good. So, you know, this elephant skin, that's just a little bit soft. It's the one part that doesn't belong here. All right, let's give it the beans. Oh, a lot of noise. Not so much power. There really is a sense that this is, you know, a big American family hauler in the best American tradition. I could see a lot of families really enjoying kind of this new modern styling aesthetic of Ford, the solidity of the vehicle. It feels like it's well put together. I could also see a lot of people wanting kind of the more light-handed, light touch of some of the Japanese models, because they certainly are very much different. But in terms of ride comfort, quietness, driving dynamics, you know, I can certainly tell somewhat what the road is doing. I can see myself once again going on a long family trip in this. It's a very comfortable vehicle. All right, once again, seat where I normally drive. Yeah, it's not bad. I'd say it's not as claustrophobic as I thought it might be. We have dual sunroofs instead of one giant one, which is fine, I guess. First of all, it would be helpful if that wasn't sticking in my back. You know, it's not bad. The Highlander was super tight. The Traverse was actually roomy, and this is somewhere in between. Oh my. Seems to be more room down here. So let's see if I can fit my big American, you know what, into the little cubby hole. Oh yeah, no problem. Close it up, Ian. Could this be the first 8-passenger vehicle? Oh, look at that. My back is hitting the power fold feature of these third row seats. How handy is that? Yes, I do fit, and because there's that fake floor, I fit rather comfortably. Here we are in the Pathfinder. Now I know this vehicle very well because I've driven it a lot and I was on the launch of this. Now this has a 3.5 liter, like everything else, V6 that puts out 260 horsepower. It also tows 5,000 pounds. It costs $45,190, the least of the bunch. And here's the most interesting thing. It gets the best MPG, at least of the comparative set, at 22. Honda has not announced MPG on the Pilot yet, so we're going with what has been announced. And the reason it does all that is because this car has the 3 dreaded letters, a CVT. Now, look, I know auto journalists have a bug up their butt about CVTs, and the reason we have a bug up our butts about CVTs is because they take the joy out of driving. And what I mean by that is they increase fuel economy, but at the same time they suck the life out of the driving experience, because the engine powers at a certain rev band that's most fuel efficient. And so I'm going to floor it, and I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. What you get is this kind of constant drone. You don't hear shifts, you don't have that kind of sense of the car accelerating and then downshifting and accelerating again. And all that is completely meaningless if you're buying this vehicle as a family hauler, because that 22 MPG number is what you're going to care about. And so I think Nissan has scored a relative home run with this. I have to say, I like this, probably one of my faves in terms of styling. It looks sleek, it looks modern. Oftentimes, these family haulers are basically dressed up boxes, so the manufacturer will put some LED bling on them to make them look a little bit sexier, but it's basically a big box, right? You're hauling people and stuff. But this one, they've actually put a lot of thought and style. I'm not sure what the design language is, but it works. That is a personal opinion. You may absolutely hate it. I like it. I also like the interior. It's kind of right down the middle, without being overly austere, but yet without being too cost-cutting. And usually Nissan is the value leader when it comes to any car in any segment, and this one is no exception. All right, here we go. Let's give it the beans and see how the Pathfinder does. Oh, there's a drone, and there's a fake shift, and there's a drone, and there's a fake shift. And that's really my biggest complaint with this car. Otherwise, you know, everything I touch is soft. The steering is numb, but you know what? It's all numb, right? Electric steering, it's always going to be dumb. It's not a car that you're once again going to be carving canyons with, but it's not bad. The controls are relatively straightforward, easy to understand, relatively modern screen. Seating position is comfortable. I think Nissan kind of really did their homework when it came to this car and just got all the kind of magic points that you want when you're building a family hauler. All right, this is a bit of a different configuration. Instead of having the captain seats, we have a regular row back here. Now I can move this back and forth, but I'm gonna move it all the way back. And with it all the way back, I have a lot of room. And once again, this is where I drive, so it's relatively comfortable. Headroom is okay. Big panoramic sunroof, so you got the small one in the front, big one in the back. You know, that's so far been almost the easiest to get in and out of. Again, it'd help if that was up. So let me slide it all the way back. You know, it's not bad. It's not a penalty box like some of the others. A little bit less headroom, a little bit tight on the knee room, but the seats themselves are relatively comfortable. And once again, this is the kind of place I could see myself going to lunch, but not going across the country. But I do like that sliding option. Very simple. So plenty of room in the front and lots of room in the middle and adequate room in the back. I'm wondering what that means for the way back. And I'm not comforted by the thought that this might be the tightest way back of them all. Let's find out. Oh my. All right, Ian, give it a shot. I think this one is not going to close, or if it will take a part of me with it. Nope. Luckily, of course, these guys won't close on you, but I do not fit back here. So a relatively large American male will not fit back here, so I'm guessing that means that this has a little bit of less room than the others. The 215 Honda Pilot. You know what, and grins, I thought it'd be fun to take this out for a ride and compare it to the 2016 model. This has 250 horsepower, V6 like the rest of them, and it can tow 4,500 pounds. Seat of the pant impressions is that this feels like last decade, and that's because it is last decade, right? This is the 2015 model, which is going away, the third generation of the Honda Pilot. And I guess I would say part of me wishes that they had kept kind of the boxy styling, because to me the design language exactly represents what this car is, which is a family hauler. So I kind of like the boxy look of it. It was unique, it was different. But what Honda said is that people thought that this design made the car seem like it was slow, cumbersome, not fuel efficient, which it wasn't. So they went with something a little bit more slick. Look at all these buttons. It's just crazy. Honda has gotten button crazy. I think that they're trying to figure out exactly how to design, or at least they were when this was designed, an infotainment control system. But look at this. I bet you if I were to count it, there's like 50 buttons there, plus the little scroll knob. Just way too complicated, way too much. But that doesn't take away from kind of the basic engineering goodness of this car. We've taken this off-road, and it was actually quite surprisingly remarkable. Going to places where I thought it shouldn't go, but let's see how it drives. Let me give it the beans. You know, there's a little bit of oomph. It's not bad. I wouldn't call it sports car-like, but you know, it's honest, and that's the thing about Hondas. They're always honest. What you see and what you get are one and the same. And with this generation, that was certainly the case. You saw a big, boxy family hauler that was relatively straightforward in its operation, and you got a big, boxy family car hauler that's relatively straightforward in its operation. You know what? Forget this. Let's go and jump in the new one. The 2016 Honda Pilot. Let me give you the facts and figures first. It's up from the 2015 30 horsepower, so we're at 280. This is the new Elite model, which means we've got all the bells and whistles, including dual sunroofs, and perhaps most importantly, a 9-speed automatic transmission. It tows 5,000, and it gets a combined 22 mpg on the highway and city combined. It has this new 9-speed transmission with a push button. Check it out, push button. Look at that. Transmission. There's also this button. What that does is it's a terrain management system. So we have normal, snow, where it starts in second gear, mud, sand. Let's go back to normal. And basically what it does is it changes the way that the car appropriates power. There's a torque vectoring feature in this new model, so you can not only shift power from left to right, but from front to back, and depending on which of these modes you use, it gives you the best potential traction in any given situation out of those that I just read out to you. They've lowered the ride height an inch, and they've lowered the ground clearance, so to me that's a bit of a red flag in terms of how it actually does off-road. But this is not an off-road, at least not a serious off-road machine, probably more like a dirt road machine. The other nice thing about this new Pilot going from the old Pilot is it's just so much nicer. You know, the old one was kind of basic, and there were all these buttons here, and everything was just a little too plasticky. They've really taken it up another level. Everything feels a little bit more solid, everything feels a little bit more expensive, and style-wise, it's a huge departure. Very basic, you get what you pay for look, to a much more stylish, LED blinged out, sharper look. Is it handsome? You know, if I were buying it just based on style, I would go with the Nissan, but it's not bad. You know, it's a much more chiseled, much more elegant look than the old one. Really, that's a matter of personal taste. So now for the big question: how does this 9-speed drive? Is it still fun to drive? Is it engaging? Is it something you can hustle around the corners, or is it just another soccer mobile that saps the lifeblood out of the fun to drive factor? And we're about to get on the highway, so we're about to find out. Here we go. I'm gonna give it the beans. I'm gonna give it all the beans. I'm gonna put it in sport mode and give it all the beans. There we go. Sounds good, huh? Very linear. You don't have that as much as you would. It could be the 9-speed transmission. but it certainly has a sense of continuous power as you're deep into the accelerator pedal. Let's see how it does around the curves. I've got, once again, relatively dull steering. The car is relatively neutral on these turns. There is a little bit of sense that there's a lot of weight in the front because there is a lot of weight in the front. But hustling around these corners, I would say it's not bad. You know, would I use it as a sports car? Hell no. But is it fun to drive? I'm going to say it's not fun to drive. It's a big vehicle that's meant to haul the family around. And so Honda does a really good job in, once again, kind of getting that engineering honesty through. So from the way the brakes work, they're very linear, to the way the steering responds, to the way in sport mode that the engine hustles to the command of your big toe. It's a very honest and very Honda-like driving experience. So if you love Hondas, you're going to love this new 2016 Honda Pilot. All right, let's see how much room we have in this one. Now, this is 3.5 inches longer than the 2015 model, so about an inch more here, and you can really tell there's a lot more room back here. Feels a lot more comfortable. I could see myself, you know, actually going on a cross-country trip, but let's try the back. Yeah, my knees are on my face, but you know what? That's to be expected. I do like that little new push-button feature where it just boom, opens, says me. But here's the big question, do I fit? I'm not sure about this. Even though it has more room, this is going to be tight. I'm not sure about this. Even though it has more room, this is going to be tight. Push the button, Ian. Once again. I hope I'll be okay. Here we go. So far, so good. Nope. I do not fit. So, there are compromises. A lot of that extra space went to the front of the vehicle, and there apparently is a little bit less space in the way back. In Colorado, it's really hard for us to get all these competing cars together at one time, so when we have the chance, we have to go for it. Having said that, I've only driven each car for like 10 minutes, and it's not fair to you and it's not fair to the manufacturer to pick a winner, but I will give you my best shot at it. I would say that if you want the best looking of the cars, in my personal opinion, I would pick the Nissan Pathfinder. If you want the jack of all trades, go for the Chevy Traverse. If you want the most reliable and in some ways the most fun to drive, go for the Toyota Highlander. And of course, if you want the most American, the car that has the most road presence, go for the Ford Explorer. Now, this car is a great entry. It competes head-on with all those vehicles. It has a 9-speed automatic transmission. It gets great fuel economy. For me, the little push-button transmission takes a little bit of getting used to. But if you love Hondas, if you love kind of that honest sense of engineering, then go for the Honda Pilot. The new 2016, the 2015, it's getting a little long in the tooth. As always, this is Roman reporting for the Fast Lane Car. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank Ian for all the hard work he did doing this in one afternoon. See you next time. And keep in mind, if you want real world reviews, check out tflcar.com.